The name of this next horse is Hoof-Hearted, but listen to the call.
Hoof-Hearted on the extreme outside. Colorado Co-Ed, Toast a Dozen on the inside. Questers Jet, Hoof-Hearted! Hoof-Hearted on the outside, it's close! Hoof-Hearted in the winner's circle.
¡Claro que sí! ¡Ay, ja, ja! ¡Sí, señor!
What is up, pod people? This is another episode of Hoof-Hearted. I am Doc, and with me today is not Mex. With me today is the NY Patriot, host of quite a few podcasts, and one of my favorite podcasts, the Occult Rejects. NY, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, man?
Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Big time. I'm a big fan, so.
Thank you. Well, that's why I couldn't even tell you no when you asked. Like,
Yeah.
This guy's been listening to my show since I came out.
Yeah.
You know, so I can't tell this dude no.
Oh,
No.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was just like, that's a silly question, of course. Yeah, I have the NY Patriot show. I did come out with that first when I started podcasting. And then I started a podcast called The Occult Rejects with a co-host at the time, Lux. That podcast is still going on. It's just, changed. I have multiple co-hosts that I kind of work with, depending on the type of topics. But that is strictly occultism on that podcast, The Occult Rejects. On the NY Patriot show, I do cover conspiracies, occultism, true crime, paranormal, high strangeness, and then I do co-host a show with another fan, somebody that had listened to the show, Teresa. She started her own. She wanted to start her own podcast called Spiritual Gangsters, and her idea of it I thought was pretty cool, and she had asked me if I'd want to co-host with her. I was like, sure, I don't care. And so I have that as well, the Spiritual Gangsters. That's a little bit more on, we get guests on, sometimes tell their personal stories. Every once in a while, we'll cover a topic. But it's definitely not as deep as my other two shows. But it's a little bit more easier it's an easier listen.
Yeah. I've listened to that.
Yeah,
one
I have
too.
those.
I listen to all of them.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I enjoy them. And the I like how deep you get into with the Occult Rejects. I mean, some of the series that you guys have done has been mind blowing. For me, like, I'm not like the way our show is. We do conspiracies every once in a while, or we'll talk about weird stuff, and or sometimes about like pop culture stuff. Usually, we end up it ends up leading down towards the whole conspiratorial point. But for us, it's always about like just we want to make people think. So we don't really get too deep into things. You do your research, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good, man. Yeah, and
there's a couple of series that was definitely like multiple parts. I mean, that is one thing about the Occult Rejects for people listening. And that is like kind of stuff that you will have to like kind of pay attention to. It does get a little deep with information.
Yeah.
So
my favorite, I think, would have to be the one about the jesters.
Because, that seems to be like an all-time favorite for a lot of people.
And for me, because like when I was a kid, the first job I ever wanted to have, I wanted to grow up to be a circus clown. So I was never one of those people that was scared of clowns. I watched it because it had a clown in it. I always liked clowns. So because for me,
that's funny. Like, I can find them creepy, but I've never been one of those people that are like, oh, they freak the shit out of me. They scare the crap out of me.
I understand why.
One of those, I found them interesting. Yeah, and they can be creepy, but to me, I think they're entertaining.
Yeah. For me, it was because I was like 4 years old. I was at a circus, one of those old time big top tent circuses, and the animals came out, and it freaked me out. So I like hid, And then the clowns came out and they made me laugh. I was like, oh yeah. And I'm like, I want to entertain people. So I wanted to be a clown. So it's just, it's kind of hard though when you end up telling your guidance counselor at high school that you want to be a circus clown. They don't really take you serious. So, and so I decided to just deliver pizzas for 20 years. So, but yeah, man, that episode or that series was really good. And then I liked your Skinwalker Ranch one too.
Oh, that was wild one for us to even cover.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was weird.
Because you talked,
That ended up.
yeah, because you talked about like how everybody on the show is Mormon, and yeah,
You know, everybody on the show and like everybody involved
yeah,
in that area that has something to do with like UFOs or documentation or anything, they all go back to being a Mormon.
yeah,
You know, and it's funny, like that me, and at the time I was working with Lux. He wanted to cover it because it was he had just, I think, did like the Scarlet Horse series or something.
hmm
And that was like a very deep, very occult, and like just a lot of information. And that was like 3 or 4 parts. Maybe no, might have been 5. I
I
don't
think it
even
was
remember.
5. Yeah,
Yeah, so that was a long series, and he was like, let's do something with the paranormal, and it'll take like a break, but me and him, and I still am under the belief that paranormal magic do go hand in hand in a sense. So it was very, I was like, sure, let's do it. I mean, it's going to be interesting anyway, just to check out some of the stories. And I even do think some of the stories back then can show like kind of occult stuff in it. But besides that, once I had started noticing a couple of people that I looked up that was involved with owning that property, all went back to Mormons, I was like, wait, something's up with this. I was like, after 2, maybe it's just a coincidence. He's like,
yeah,
like now I'm getting like 3 or 4. And I even told Lux.
yeah,
And at first he was just like, oh, he's like, there really could be a coincidence. And like, just because they got married there doesn't necessarily mean they are. They may have just, rented the church. They may have just been willing to take whatever. And I started looking into more people, and I was like, hold up. This is weird.
yeah.
And that just totally took the series in a complete different direction than we even planned on. I thought maybe 2 parts, and it ended up turning into fucking another long one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was good. I actually just finished watching the 3rd season of that show, The Skinwalker Ranch. And I think it's funny how it went from like, because Skinwalker Ranch, like a skinwalker, for people who don't know what a skinwalker is a shapeshifter, essentially. And they don't talk anything about those shapeshifters. Hardly at all do they talk about shapeshifters. It's all about like aliens. It's all about UFOs. And I just think it was funny that I know that show also finished airing, and then recently they started talking about, oh, UFOs are real. So I do want to go into your opinion on those things later. But yeah, that show was funny, and I know you guys were talking about it in your series too. But yeah, but the Mormon thing, like, it's in Utah, so I get it. Most people.
Oh yeah. I did understand that, but it was just like it's too many now.
Yeah. But I will say this: like, my ex-wife, her family, like, one of her aunts is Mormon, and so I went to Utah, and I gotta tell you, man, like, there is a vibe. There's like an energy there in Utah, and it's hard to put your finger on it. And so when I went there, we had like a little tour from one of her cousins, and he showed us all the Mormon things. We went inside the tabernacle, not the main one, but like where they have the Mormon tabernacle choir, the big huge pipe organ, which was also interesting too. Because
yeah, they use pipe organs, you're right.
Yeah, so I think it's the biggest pipe organ in America, but I don't.
I wonder if it's a Bigelow one. I know there was a company, Bigelow, that was making pipe organs for Mormon churches, and I did find it interesting that Bob Bigelow was one of the owners of the ranch, and he was the only one I couldn't find like an exact tie to Mormonism.
Oh, okay.
Yet there are Bigelow organs that are made by a Mormon and used in Mormon temples.
Yeah. But
And there's Lucy Bigelow, who was a Mormon as well
yeah.
in the past.
But he took us on a tour. We did a bunch of stuff, and then he told us about how they decided on Utah. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Brigham Young had was standing up on a mountaintop and then looked down into the valley and was like, "This is where we will stay. You know, this is the place that God has chosen for us." And I think it's interesting too, because like they have tons of like minerals there, and I don't know. It's an interesting place. There's an energy there in Utah, especially Salt Lake, that you can feel, man. So if you ever go there,
Yeah, there's something up with Utah, I think. They did want to name the state originally Ptah, after the Egyptian god Ptah.
Oh, really? Okay.
They used Utah instead. And if I remember correctly, I don't know if it was previous to Brigham Young saying that. I think it might be, though. At one point, when they realized that the Mormons had a bank, I can't remember if it was in Missouri. It might have been Missouri, New York. They did have a bank, and eventually their money turned into crap. And they were, I think, selling coins like 2 ounces shorter than what it was supposed to be. So, like, they were even, like, screwing people with their currency.
Okay.
Eventually, they got found out that their shit was no good, and people who, the Mormons that had a bunch of it, started going down into other parts of the United States, and a big part of it was Utah, and they were using that money to buy up a bunch of land before the people down there realized that it was bunk.
Oh, that the money was fake or no good.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if that had any. I think that might have started happening before Brigham Young said, "Let's go to Utah." I could be wrong, but it's funny that even them going there, they're still scamming people with shit money.
Yeah.
When they went there. But I do question, again, Utah is supposed to be named Ptah, and knowing that Joseph Smith was a Mason, and Mormons do share Masonic symbolism. I'd wonder if
and
Utah
rituals
was
too.
on. Yeah. So I do wonder if that was all on purpose.
Yeah, a buddy of mine. He actually is a listener of the show. You know what? I'm not gonna throw him under the bus. So I don't want to get him in trouble. So I'm not gonna say nothing. Never mind. Strike that. I don't want. He gave me some information that I didn't okay with him first to talk about. So I'm not gonna do that. So but yeah, I mean the whole Mormon thing is pretty wild. So and when I went there and when I was talking to my ex's cousins and just like getting the whole just all the information from them and everything, I'm like, these guys are like, this is like a mafia, man. Like, because it's all about family, not like Fast and the Furious, but like it felt like a mafia. It's all about scratching backs and stuff. So if you're a Mormon and you go to another town, just go to the Mormon church, and then you're gonna end up having people help you out, get you a job, get you whatever, like a good paying job. So yeah, it's pretty wild. They're wild. Hey, I was gonna ask you to go ahead and, because I know my listeners probably haven't heard of you, even though I've talked about you guys. I've talked about the Occult Rejects. I've talked about you in particular on the show numerous times. But why don't you go ahead and just kind of give everybody a little rundown of who you are and why I wanted you on the show in the first place.
Well, I'm assuming it's because of, I guess,
it's
kind of the way
stuff, and because of the podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess also kind of the way I mean, I hate to say, I guess maybe I marketed myself that way in the beginning, which I don't know if I would have done that if I could go back and change things. But I was in the OTO for a bit, and I did a few of the degrees in there, and I was in that. I was prior to that. I was interested into occultism because of conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm.
I was very big into conspiracy theories when I was, I guess around like 2010. Started getting big into that stuff. Started listening to people like Jordan Maxwell, Michael Tsarian, Passio, Alex Jones, David Icke, Santos Bonacci. I listened to all those people back in the day, and a lot of them always did kind of go back to occultism or magic or
Mm-hmm.
something to that effect. So I did start to believe that that stuff was real, and that there was like an influence being made because of it.
How old were you when you were coming to, getting into all that?
I guess like heavily. That was my early 30s, but I mean,
Really? Okay.
even
I
in
thought
my
it was earlier on.
20s. Well, I'm 45 now, so. But
Yeah.
I even in my early 20s though, like I was under the I did believe in ghosts, I believed in the paranormal,
Mm-hmm.
and I did believe like in aliens or possibility of stuff like that. Even when like 9/11 happened, I was just like, yo, that shit ain't fucking. I even thought that was fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
Because like I growing up in New York and on Long Island, like I heard on the radio and I saw on the news, like I saw the fire department
Mm-hmm.
literally say out of their mouths there was explosions in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Like I saw and heard that on TV, and then all of a sudden, by the end of the day, that shit changed.
Yeah.
I was like, well, what happened to that? And then, like, just a whole bunch of other stuff. Just to me, I was just like, all right, this doesn't seem to make sense. So, I mean, even back then, I was still conspiratorial, I guess, but wasn't researching it or like looking for podcasts or things on YouTube to listen to about.
Yeah.
But come to like around 2010 to 2012, like I started getting heavily into that stuff. Started researching the occult myself and like listening to other things or like, reading stuff or trying to find sites and books on it. And basically just realized, all right, I'm just like chasing different orders and trying to find out where they're from, who started them, this and that, what are they into? And I'm like, I still don't know what the hell magic is.
Yeah.
It's like I have the furthest idea still. I was like, maybe I actually like need to start looking into like what do they actually like prescribe to. And I started kind of like looking into ceremonial magic and got a couple of books. I had spoken to somebody I knew from school that I had. Well, they believe they're a witch. If they are or not, I don't know, but
Yeah.
they believe that they are. And I had hit them up and asked them for, I guess, like somewhere to start. And they sent me a couple of suggestions, and I got a couple of books and started like reading those, and started like getting into meditations and just some basic stuff, cleansing, herbs, crystals. And then when the ritual stuff started coming in, I started noticing discrepancies in books to the point to where it's like I had one book that was quoting Aleister Crowley's Liber Resh Vel Helios, some Liber Resh. And it was different than Crowley's was. It was not the same as Crowley's own publication of it. So I was like, that's weird. I was like, this isn't the same. So I was just like, I guess there's discrepancies in this, even in books.
Yeah.
So how the hell do I know like who to trust, this and that?
Yeah.
Or who's got it right? Or could both of them be right just depending on the situation? I have no idea. And so I was like, yeah, maybe I should actually start looking for these things if they're possible to find and actually like join one so I could meet people. And like I had assumed maybe you'd get like mentors or, I wasn't exactly sure. But I started looking into secret societies, and I knew the Masons. And even from people that I knew that were in the Masons, they had told me, I mean, that they were in it for like, 5 years, one close to 10 years. And they had both even said at that time, if you think you can even start talking about occultism and that, they, get weird looks and possibly even asked to leave. So like, that ain't going to happen for a long time in the Masons. You're going to have to move up until that shit starts getting talked about.
Yeah.
I said, all right, so I'm not looking to invest that much time. I want to learn it now. I was sort of into the Golden Dawn, and I found that kind of attractive. It seemed a little bit more very like a student, and you get exercise. So there's things to practice. There was not an official Golden Dawn Lodge near me. So then my next thought was like, I guess I can check out like the OTO. I knew who Crowley was. I thought he was an occult genius, but at the same time, I think he was probably a disturbed individual.
Yeah.
or
To
or
say
at
the
different
least.
times in his life, different stages in his life, he at least was,
Yeah.
I believe. So I was just like, well, I mean, there was nobody for me to put up on a pedestal really with the Golden Dawn. So like, there really wasn't like a face to that, as you do have a face to the OTO. You know what I'm saying? When you hear the OTO, oh, that's Crowley's. You
Okay.
hear the
Yeah.
Golden Dawn, people just like, oh yeah, that's a secret magical society. You hear OTO, you just automatically attribute it to Crowley. So I was just like, all right. And I ended up finding a bunch of their stuff online, like even videos and shit on YouTube, and found out that they even have a regular website, and it will show you where all their lodges are and how to get in touch with them. Maybe even like calendars or social media that they have. And I found out there was one 25 minutes away from me. So I checked out their stuff, checked out a few things. The Gnostic Mass I looked at on YouTube, and a couple other rituals. And I was like, all right, I think I can handle this. I think this won't be too weird for me if I go see this stuff in person. And eventually contacted them, and a few weeks after that, I went to a Gnostic Mass, and say about 5 years later, it was finding myself finally leaving.
Yeah.
Ended up becoming a member in that time, went up a few degrees, and left.
Yeah. You left though because you just kind of you didn't like the direction that they were going, or that you were going, like you wanted more, but they couldn't give it to you.
There was multiple reasons. One, like even when I went there, and like I hate to, because just because people may look different or whatever. I mean, if you met me in person and saw the way I dressed, you'd probably have no fucking idea I was ever into this shit.
Yeah.
But like, I hate to go by like first impressions, but when I first got there was just a lot of people there by first impressions. I was just like, this is not going to be permanent. I'm actually, to tell you the truth, I'll be totally honest with you, I'm surprised I went as long as I did,
Yeah.
considering my first impressions of it. I thought it was something that, like, okay, I can deal with this and I can hang around so I can learn some stuff. I never thought I would get as involved, or even go for as many degrees. And so, again, that was based off of a lot of just by looks, or eavesdropping, or just sitting there quiet in their big room with a bunch of people talking and just listening to what people are talking about.
Yeah.
I was, I wanted to know, like, I'm around a bunch of people I've never met before. I guess if I want to get to know who they are without them talking to me, I got to listen to what they're saying. So, I just sat there and read the room.
Yeah.
But eventually, I wasn't too off on it, to where I thought that there was just the people there were not as much, very different than me. There was people there that were open socialists. There were people there that were open communists, social justice warriors, protesters, people all into that shit.
Yeah.
Very much like, just, I don't know, so it was just weird. And but like, it was not really a big deal, because when you're in the OTO, it's like you're there to learn about magic. The whole focus is learning about occultism and magic. So, the personal shit might come up prior to whatever the event is that you're there for, or after the event. People who are constantly running things, you may notice people with the same ideology on stuff always maybe doing more of the stuff there. So that can influence things a little bit, and I did notice that as well, I thought. But I guess I'm trying to say, it's not like they're pushing straight up like socialism in their rituals.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was people there that were into that. Eventually started having, in my opinion, magical effects.
Oh, okay.
And I ended up having that after, in my opinion, very extensive shadow work. Questioning, sitting there questioning, like, why do I believe certain things? Why do I do certain things? Why have I, going back to things that I was brought up to believe, and questioning, is that even correct with me anymore? Is that just making me a robot? A lot of like, almost like deprogramming, and actually just reevaluating the way your mind works and the way it controls you through certain emotions.
Yeah.
and eventually started, in my opinion, had some pretty significant magical experiences. And to me, a lot of the things that I guess that I had to look at, um, or kind of like at least reevaluate throughout my whole life and how it could control me. Just the images of the OTO, they come across very like dark, edgy, sexual. Just to me, a lot of the stuff that a mindset of the people that I was there with and the image that it gives to me just made me feel like I was now kind of hanging around the handcuffs that stop you from having a magical experience or stop you
Yeah.
from coming to know who God is. Have an experience with God. I felt like it's almost as if like it's glorifying the chains to hell, the chains to not having that happen. And I was just like, I just don't see how I just felt like there was nothing for me to get there anymore. I
Yeah.
didn't think that it was going to give me anything positive, really, or I didn't think there was really anybody there that I could probably even really talk to, that I would trust or knew enough about even my experiences recently. I had tried to with a couple of people, and they just seemed to either blow it off, or like one of them I think actually totally understood what happened and started getting a little weird. It's a whole other story to get into. I don't
Well,
want to take up too much time with
and
it, but
speaking of weird, because like you're talking about experiences and stuff, and I know that when you're dealing with the occult and when you're dealing with magic, uh, there's gonna be some weird experiences. And
oh hell yeah.
I was curious, what is the wildest thing that has happened to you that you can talk about? The wildest thing that's happened to
Oh
you in this whole
well,
occult experience journey that you've had.
I hate that it sounds like the most outlandish thing, and I want people to hear this and be like, "Ah, I'm not even listening anymore to this guy." I'm sure maybe you've probably heard me say it before, but to me, the most, even or not, the most wildest thing to me that happened, I guess, with my eyes open, not in
Mhm.
meditation or magic, was me being able to blow on and eventually blow out a candle just with thought and focus.
Dude, that's so cool. Because
That freaked me the fuck out,
yeah.
actually.
Okay, so back in God, I can't remember when it was, but like I ended up it was late. Me and my buddies were at Denny's and we were just sitting there because we had just finished playing poker until like 2 in the morning and Denny's was open. So we went to Denny's and we're all just sitting there having food and I'm staring at a penny and my friend's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Dude, you could totally move this with your mind. You just gotta focus." And he's like, "Dude, you are so full of shit." I'm like, "I'm serious, man. Think about it. Everything is energy. If you could just
I
focus,
would even
you
say maybe, I mean, copper too. That's made out of copper. That's, that can conduct electricity. You might have a good chance with that.
yeah, okay, all right. See, I just wasn't focused enough, but I was trying so hard. Like I was trying to focus my energy, and of course, whatever. But I just was trying to explain to them like everything is energy, man. So what is to say that I can't focus my energy onto this object and actually move it? So I totally believe you when you say that you were able to go ahead and get that candle to blow out. That's
And like,
pretty
it
fucking
wasn't even
wild.
something that I was like, oh, I gotta fucking, I wasn't even something I told people about
Yeah.
or I even bragged about. Because to me, I was just like, well, one, it's like, if I want to admit that I just literally saw what I saw with my own eyes and that happened, it's like I pretty much have to start questioning like reality
Yeah.
in general. Because it's like I just did something according to what I've learned my whole life or believed my whole life shouldn't be possible.
Exactly.
I was like, how the fuck does that happen? And it's like you have to start actually, if you want to believe that, you're gonna have to believe you've bought bullshit
Mm-hmm.
your whole life up until that point.
Yeah.
And for someone's mind to actually, their ego to allow them to do that, especially for me, that was not fucking easy at all.
Yeah.
That shit fucks my head up. And I was just even like, yo, I don't even want to think about this. I put everything out on the lights, put everything away and went into the bedroom and tried to go to sleep. I was just like, I'm not even gonna like really sit here and dwell and entertain what the fuck just happened.
Did you? Yeah, because I know that
How freaky it
sometimes
was to me.
isn't there like a form of oh god, what is the word? But trying to see into like the future, or trying to have a vision
Oh,
or
that
whatever
yeah,
about looking into a
right,
candle.
yeah. Well, I do think, believe it or not, I do think it's quite possible that you can use candles to possibly help with magic
Okay,
experience.
because there's a
Oh,
place.
but yeah, I do think candles are actually used quite often for shit like what you're saying,
y-
scrying. I mean, you could do that with
Yes.
waters, do it with smoke.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I
there's
mean, Nostradamus. A lot of people who have
the
actually
Black
tried
Mirror.
to predict the future have all used some form of scrying.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah. Because he had a black. Didn't he have a black mirror? I believe. And then
I
he,
don't. I don't know if it was a black mirror or a bowl of water, but I know there was somebody who was like known for predictions of weird shit, and they were
yeah,
using a bowl of water at times too.
yeah. I think he was also using some sort of plant that he was that he was consuming that was helping him get into his state of being. So, from what I heard, I don't know for sure, but
Do you know who? Do you know who King Diamond is?
it sounds familiar. I think you've talked about him before.
Oh yeah, I mean he's like I don't even know how to describe him. I mean he's like I guess like '90s metal, but like Judas Priest sounding, like very high pitched.
Yeah,
Guy's like face paint. He's an open member of the Church of Satan, and he has like the symbol on his fucking album covers sometimes. But
yeah,
he has a song called "The Candle," and like he even alludes to that. I think helping aid in magical
yeah.
experience.
Well,
'Cause-
there's
Go ahead.
a store here in my town that sells like crystals and candles, and like, of course, what they do, they take the there's intention that they put into making the candle, and then they sell these candles. This is what they tell you. But you can also make your own candle. You could go in there and you can give your intention to the wax as it's forming, all that stuff, and then you burn it and whatever. But I went inside there, and that candle room was super heavy. Like, it really felt
Mhm.
heavy to me. And I'm like, I don't know if I like being in here. So, but the whole candle thing I've seen, and they, the Catholics go ahead and they light candles all the damn time. So,
Oh yeah.
so I mean, there's something
The
to
heavy
the
is
candle.
fucking candles. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's something to the candles. But I was gonna ask you too, because I know you talked about magic, and I know from some of your other podcasts you say magic with a K. I when people think of magic, they think like sleight of hand, or they think of the Orlando
Oh yeah.
Magic, or they think like David Blaine. But me personally, I think that David Blaine's actually doing some stuff. So
Oh, I think all those guys are actually magicians with a K, or practice, understand magic with a K.
with a K, okay.
I th- I think they just understand how and psyche, and then they can do stage magic and woo people
So
over.
what is magic? And then you
Being a
say magic with a K. Like, what's the difference?
I guess magic with a C would be more of like the stage shit,
Okay.
mind fucking people. Like yes, I mean, but magic with a K for me is more of me not changing. Well, it's kind of almost like it's kind of interesting way to explain this. I would not be so much really changing the world around me or trying to change anybody or anything around me. It would be more of me changing myself to where I guess my reality or my existence changes. To me, magic with a K is this is gonna be another wild and weird one. I do think it is separating to an extent your soul from your body.
Okay.
Like you actually go into spirit and you are not of this physical world anymore.
Gotcha.
You would transcend, I guess, back to spirit before you inhabited the flesh suit we're wearing. Something like that.
Yeah.
So like the flash of light that happens when the sperm enters the egg, it's like you kind of go back to that. It's just sight
Okay.
and sound instead of an actual physical being.
Yeah, I got a buddy of mine. We just had we had lunch the other day, and he was talking about, we were having a pretty deep conversation about like our existence as human beings, and the prison that is our flesh, and our spirits long to go home. So it was pretty interesting, pretty deep, and I and I enjoy these kind of conversations, So that's
Oh yeah,
interesting
that's
what you said.
what talk about. Sure.
Yeah, and
It's very interesting just to
yeah.
ponder our existence in
Oh,
general.
yeah. I think the older you get, the more that happens. Because you said you're 45, I'm 44. About to be 45 pretty soon, but so I think the older you get, you definitely start to ponder your existence, and then you start to feel a little regret that you didn't actually start pondering it when you were in your 20s, when you actually could do shit. So, I mean, that's the way I feel, anyways. I feel like I wasted so much time just being horny and jerking off in the bathroom. And I should have been focusing on important things. So yeah, but so I was also curious too, because I talked about that shop that had crystals, and my wife always gives me shit that I have crystals, and because for me, my belief, and it has been this way for the longest time, even when I was still like, a God-fearing Christian going to church and stuff like that, I always believed that there is energy, right? So energy is in everything. So my thought was like, well, these crystals have a certain kind of energy, so why couldn't they be used? Why couldn't they be something that actually would help aid? So my question to you is there like, is there anything truth to like crystals or like numerology or astrology, like all of these things that kind of, I don't know, that my wife would be like, okay, that's
I
fucking
I
stupid.
I think crystals can be. I mean, yeah, I think so for sure. I mean, just the whole fact that like when you shine light through it, it's gonna get changed and manipulated.
Hmm.
The crystal come out the other end, something else. I mean, it can change frequencies. I mean, that's powerful enough for me right there.
Well, and they're used in all of our motherboards. They use crystals, you know.
Yes, TVs,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean,
screens for sure, man. Yeah, crystals I think is very huge.
and also too, I remember reading a few years back. God, it's probably been like a decade, but they were trying to figure out how to put data onto a crystal, like into a crystal. So on like the size of like a postage stamp, and it would be a crystal, and you can put all of the books that are in the Library of Congress onto this one tiny little crystal. And I think that what, now as have gotten older and like I've learned other things, my thought is these are what they're going to use to go ahead and upload our brains and our, and
Oh,
get our, to have our that is what they will use for, what is it, for eternity, right? So that we will live forever,
oh
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
to upload our consciousness to these like crystals, but according to my buddy though, that would be continuing this prison because we're not going to where we're supposed to be, kind of a thing. So
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
yeah, man, I mean, I think crystals are, I don't know, you get I think as a dude, because it's usually like the females that are into like all the crystals and numerology and
Oh, yeah,
astrology.
I
But
will say when it comes to crystals and herbs, there is a lot of woo woo and bullshit about it, and I think
yes,
a lot of witches will even be using this shit and have no, including myself. When I
yeah,
did this shit, I don't think I was really comprehending the whole aspect of them, but I think it does have more to do actually with the vibratory rate that it
mm-hmm,
creates. I think it's more of a lot of like crystals and like stones and herbs. I think is besides just the mental connection and kind of just stating in your head like I'm putting this here because it's for this and this means that. Like you're reaffirming to yourself everything that you're doing. So it's kind of like a mental programming in itself. But I do think, in my opinion, that there's something with the herbs and the crystals where it matches the vibratory rate of the energy you're trying to tap into.
That's cool.
Or it equals, especially with herbs, especially lavender, I think, and certain other ones. In the eyeball series, I do think there are herbs that we use that actually look like shit that are literally inside your eyeball and in your brain.
Oh, okay.
It just seems to replicate itself as plants. The same shit inside your head. So I've even questioned, again, occultism, the eyes.
Yeah.
I've questioned, a lot of that too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. There's so many, like they say that we're related to bananas too. So I mean, there's all sorts of things that we could be related to, and I don't know. In all the things that are out there, there's all these like similarities, and everything's math, in my opinion. Like it's all mathematical. I think I was when I was a kid, I was watching something like Donald Duck explaining math, and it was talking about like the Fibonacci sequence, like the golden ratio, I think is what it was. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, the 369.
Yeah.
We have that inside our eyeballs.
Yeah.
And then like everything, like even plants and trees, I think like grow that way.
Yeah.
Especially sunflowers.
Exactly. Yeah. And then when people have that kind of dimensions like on their face, those are the ones that we find most attractive. Because they're mathematically correct, I guess. So I don't know. It's just I think that everything is kind of related and it's all mathematics. And
I think there's like a code to existence to an extent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's even something that I've noticed covering, not to get into it, but like covering a couple of certain true crimes things that have gone on. The Kohlberger case and the Gilgo, and even I think the Kylie Rodney case. You start to get a lot of the same numerology if you start playing numbers and gematria. And it's like, either these are all occult bullshit crimes or something's weird about them, which I'm not trying to say that. But they're at least I've started to question, is there a certain mathematical code? Because, like, again, everything comes down to numbers and frequencies. Is there just certain frequencies or numbers that you will see that comes up with horrible stuff like this?
Yeah.
Like, is that just part of the code to seeing this happen in this reality?
Well, and with some of that stuff,
very weird.
Yeah, it is weird. And then with some of that stuff too, like these events or those things like that have these weird similarities with numbers, you think, okay, well, is this planned or is this just like this weird coincidence? And does that mean that this is more evidence to make me believe that we are living in a simulation?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to say. I do question, is some of them just like occult bullshit that they're handing us, or is like, or could it be a mix, but there's just a code to the matrix that pumps this stuff out?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird stuff. Me and my co-host, we talked about simulation before and like how we live in a simulation, and I don't know, man. I'm for it. I think it's I don't know. The more I look at stuff, I'm like, this is like just a video game. I play plenty of video games, and I feel like that's kind of what we're doing, So
like electricity that got stuck inside of a motherboard.
Yeah,
it's like how I sometimes.
Yeah. Now let me ask you, with all of these, because I know you have a pretty big knowledge of like occult symbols and stuff like that. Now, how do you function in your day-to-day life, like knowing that all these things are meaning something? Because my buddy is like, he's all, once you see it, Dave, you can't end up going back. Like once you see it, you can't go back. He's like, he said that represents Saturn. Like that represents this, you know? So it's like, how do you go back? Cause I mean, for me, I do end up seeing all these things, but I try to distance myself from it. Like, cause I'll get deep into like conspiracy stuff all the time. And then I'm like, okay, I got to step back. Cause like reality, like I'm having problems with reality right now. So like, how do you deal with all that?
Right, that's a good question. I mean, honestly, I guess because of having magical experiences, I guess I do kind of like look at this world differently, or just feel differently about it. But I mean, a lot of the stuff with the occult symbolism, believe it or not, when it comes to like huge things or like big companies or big, whatever it is, as long as it's something that almost pretty much everybody knows exists, I do actually chalk that up that they're probably that successful because they do understand magic and understand like either the symbolism of the words said in their commercials or their slogans, their colors, the sound that they use and stuff. They understand that that's just manipulative or helps sell whatever they have to offer. So I actually do believe like, most of that is actually known and that's how it gets to what it is. Or people just happen to get lucky and just design their own things that happen to work the same way. It may not have even realized it. So I do think that like even at times when I do see a lot of it, it's like, is that really done on purpose or is that just like somebody taking ideas from something else and it just worked well? But in my opinion, this whole, I think, reality is just you're going to see, I guess, the codes to the Matrix in one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's put it that way, I guess. I yeah, I guess because I look at this, I guess, not being technically real.
Gotcha.
Like I do look at it as being a matrix in a sense. So I would understand, like, if people understand the matrix, why would they not advertise that and I guess live their best life that way? Even though like I may not agree with the way that they're doing it, I can understand how they would do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think a lot of a lot of occult symbolism and why I think companies or people or whatever logos for things will do well is because other occultists will be like, they actually really understand what magic is. They are real occultists. They have crossed the abyss, and I'll fuck with them.
Yeah, gotcha.
Or I'll give them props. I think you get notoriety. I think a lot of symbolism that some people use, artists or actors or people in the public, I think a lot of times that is just for them to make a statement in public in front of a bunch of people that they know that footage or that photo or that video is going to air or go here or go there. And they're just literally advertising to other people in the know.
Yeah. They're like, I play ball. I'm part of the team.
It may not even necessarily mean like, oh, this symbol means I worship Satan. No, this just symbol means I understand that I've crossed the abyss, and this is a symbol to show that, and I am going to flaunt it so you understand that I understand.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do think a lot of stuff is also very basic. It is more of an experience and not necessarily good or bad.
Yeah.
Which I think is what can captivate a lot of people with symbolism.
So what you're saying is Jay-Z wasn't part of the Illuminati, but he started throwing up the sign, and then he's like, "I'm just playing." He's like, "This is my way in. I'm just gonna start throwing up the triangle, and then eventually they'll let me in."
Well, I mean, who knows how it works? I mean, you could maybe get like hurt, and they'd be like, I could listen to somebody's stuff and be like, "Holy fuck, they're saying some deep shit."
Yeah.
And other people could listen to it and not even hear it, and there not even be like rumors about them being, in occultism, but I would hear it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's like, did somebody who's important happen to be like, oh, this motherfucker's saying some real shit or doing some real shit, or their art is showing some like, deep shit. I think I should promote them or, try to pimp them out myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Who knows,
Yeah. Now,
and then you find yourself in a situation because you want to get money and be famous doing shit that you may not have wanted to do.
Now, I have, my friend had said something, he said something that kind of blew my mind a while back, years ago. He said, what do you do when you take a string of letters and you put them together to form a word? And I was like, you're spelling it. And he's all,
Yeah.
exactly. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. He was like, every single billboard you see is a spell. Every single, like, he's just saying everything is some sort of magic. And
I think itself is, honestly.
you think what?
I think speech in itself is all magic.
Yeah. And then he was talking about like certain words. And I was like, yeah, but it's not even spelled. Like, it doesn't, like, these words will mean something, magically. But they're not spelled that way. Like, but it's how it's said. Like, these words sound alike. So they are, referencing this. So I was like, wow, okay. Like, I love talking to this dude. Like, he just ends like, he's on a whole nother level, and I fucking love it. But do you, if everything around us is some sort of magic, like, what do you do? I mean, I don't know if you do if you do. I don't know if you do anything to like protect yourself during the day. Do you think that we need to, like, how do we go ahead and function if all of this stuff around us is trying to like either attack us in some form or another? What should we do to protect us?
Oh, as silly as it sounds. Well, I guess for me, once I started, and I hate to make it sound different than others, but like when I had experiences with what I feel like was, crossing the abyss and having experience, magical experience. I guess like coming back, like you kind of just like, again, like you look at the world differently. In my opinion, I feel like everything is meant to be the distraction in a sense. If my opinion, believe it or not, as silly, as simple as it sounds, stop paying shit any mind.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like I that was one of the quick things I started, even has changed with my podcast, because I've changed co-hosts, because when you have a co-host, you need to, accommodate to them as well.
Yes.
Like politics. If you've noticed, even with my own shows, I don't even fucking really play much mind to that anymore, because I do think in itself, both sides are there just to distract and mind fuck you and bullshit you. So I don't even want to like promote people even paying attention to what the fuck's going on in politics, because if you ignored that, you'd be a happier person. Shut off the news, you'd be a happier person. If you stopped, I guess, and stop idolizing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think once you start to, like, for me, if I was to watch like a movie or watch something for more of like what the movie is saying, what it's about, and not so much for the actors and like thinking I know who they are, I think that's even a different experience, because like you're not being influenced by I guess somebody that you adorn, in a sense. But like people idolizing like political figures or actors, or like Elon Musk, like these are all, Kanye West, they're all magicians that are just sucking your attention and energy.
Yeah.
People
saying a politician was brought down by God to rule our country.
A lot of those people, some way, somehow, give you some idea of how to think and act.
Okay.
And I think not taking them into consideration anymore will let you think and act the way that you actually want to. And I think, in the most part, unless you get, controlled thing, like I think in the most part, if humans in general, are actually left alone, I do think that they have some sort of built-in morals and values that, unless like they are just like mentally ill and just not working right, in general, humans will have compassion. So I think like if people didn't listen to how to be told how to live, we'd actually do a lot better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like we might, like, I hate to say it, but I mean, fucking animals are existing better than we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a shame.
It is. The other thing too, like with all this, like with after COVID happened, I think so many people were isolated, I guess. And
You know,
then,
I think that was
yeah,
just a fraction of society and humanity.
yeah. Well, and then what it's done now to me, I feel like everybody has wanted to be heard and seen, and now everyone's opinions are important. And even in the whole process of being heard and seen, they are no longer listening, and they are no longer looking at other people. And I mean, motherfuckers are stopping in the middle of the road because they missed their exit, and then they back up. It's like, come on, man. Like, there are other people around here. You're causing all these issues. Like, how selfish are you? There's so many people that are being so selfish.
Yeah.
I was raised to be considerate of everyone. You know, I didn't open doors just for females. I opened doors for men as well, because I was just helping people, you know, like I was being kind to people. And I just wish more people would open doors for other people. You know, I wish they would be more kind. It's gotten crazy. It's gotten wild. That's for sure.
Yeah, I guess that's even kind of goes back a little bit to, I mean, especially when it comes to politics, you see people right now like going by what their political figure is saying, how the world or people should act.
Mm-hmm.
And then when others don't do that, you automatically just get. I just feel like everybody's too worried, neither consumed with themselves or actually too worried about watching how everybody else is living their life. And if it's not to the way they want it to be, spaz the fuck out.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know, and that's even both sides.
yeah.
So it's a very, like basically what I'm getting at is hugely self-centered.
Mm-hmm.
And either you will ignore the world around you because you're just so sucked up in yourself, or you want everybody to be just like you because you're so, you know, in love with yourself
Yeah.
and the way you are.
I appreciate differences. You know, that's what people I don't
Oh,
people I don't
course.
agree with. I want to hear their story, because I want to hear what they have to say, because they may not change my mind, but they will make me think. And I appreciate people and their opinions, even though they may sound ridiculous. I still want to hear them. You know,
Yeah.
but I love listening to stories. I love it. So,
Yeah. I had somebody one time, a podcaster, I was on their show and they had asked me, I think they asked me actually, expecting a different answer. But they had asked me if, do I think a country would probably do better if it was more of like almost a unified religion, you know,
mhm.
or if like everybody was kind of still thinking the same thing. And I actually said no.
Yeah.
I said, you're not going to get any growth because everybody's going to think the same shit. And I said, a lot of times you need somebody with a difference of opinion or if a difference of a way of looking at something to actually grow.
Yeah.
You will never think outside the box that has been made for you. You know, you will eventually become stagnant. And I think
Yeah.
that could actually be hurt in the long run just for advancing. And,
Yeah.
and you know, not saying advancing into AI, being controlled by, you know, electronics and computers and robots, but just, you know, I just think as a whole, you need some difference of thinking.
Yeah.
I don't actually think it's you'd be you'd be teetering a very socialistic society.
Oh
is what
yeah,
I
man.
think in that.
Definitely.
You know?
Definitely. I don't know. We have two eyes, right? So because if we had one eye, then we would lack depth perception. So we have two eyes. So we need two to actually get some depth out of something. Imagine what
You know, that's
if we had four.
it's interesting that you're saying that because even when it comes to magic, I do think, especially the way I explain it in the Eyeball series that we did recently on the Occult Rejects, I actually think you need to get both of your eyes doing two separate things at the same time to have a magical effect as well.
Hmm.
So
Like the
even when
magic
you're
eye.
saying we have two eyes to look at things differently, with magic, I think your eyes actually technically are looking at things completely differently, both of them.
Yeah. Like those, remember the did you ever see Mallrats?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, remember it's like, no, it's a schooner. No, it's a sailboat. Like the magic eye. Yeah, like I remember when I was younger, like trying to I could not get those. I could not see them. And then when I finally discovered it, I was like, oh, dude, it was the most amazing thing, and I felt so special. And but it's funny because they're called magic eye. So it's funny that you're talking about like you got to have your eyes in different directions, and in order to see the magic eye, those art pieces, you have to kind of like cross your eyes ever so slightly. So you do have to actually see in different directions in order for it to come into focus.
I think I think your eyes almost go crossed, and your one pupil will get bigger and one will get smaller. Actually,
Yeah.
one will take in more light and one will take in less.
That's wild, man. That's wild. Hey, I wanted to ask you about the wildfires that were happening in Maui, or that did happen. And it's not necessarily the fires, but what's the deal with the blue umbrellas and the blue cars?
You know, I'm just gonna be totally honest with you. I have literally stayed off social media because of that situation.
Because of the whole fire, like all of it?
Yeah, I'm tired of seeing what the fuck people are saying about it.
Yeah, okay. I get that.
I mean, I do get the blue thing, but then the thing is, it's just like I've even the one or two times I even said anything about it. I had sent, I think, 2 videos to people who I talked to. And a guy, Chris, that I know from Rantcast, he had posted it. That's the only reason I even seen it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I do pay attention to shit that he says. He posted a video and it shows like a drone footage of them going down the street. And it's like, it's showing like total fucking disaster and everything's burnt down. And then there's probably like a chunk, like in just the middle, random, of all these cars that didn't get burnt up.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, that is weird.
That's wild.
I've seen videos of them showing the blue umbrellas and then like the blue chairs or whatever, blue shit. But then like literally in the same scene, you'll see a white car not burnt up.
Mm-hmm.
I do understand there may be something with the blue, but in my opinion, people are also not pointing out the other fuck ton of colors in the same picture that did not get burnt.
True. And that was one of the things that I was thinking about. I'm like, is this a heavily edited video? Because I think a lot of times when things seem like with this and with the alien stuff, I feel like these crazy events that happen are just trying to get us distracted from some of the other things that are going on.
Yes. See, that's I guess that's probably why I really didn't pay much mind to it. I think since the fires that we've had since right before the election, we've been having fires constantly.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that is kind of I don't know how to explain. It's almost like an as above, so below. I do think when it comes to the Scarlet Horse symbolism, and even like the beast, when when an aeon is like coming to an end, or a form of structure is coming to an end, it normally gets purified by fire. The Scarlet Whore will basically like implode and burn out due to the energy of the beast within her. So I do think, especially with seeing how things have been going, as much as it may not look like it, though, as I've been looking at it since like 2016 on, or at least 2020, I'd say on, even though we see a lot of shit with the left, the beast symbolism, we have been, I think, swinging into that direction.
Okay.
And I do think a lot of that comes with Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Quetzalcoatl, QAnon. A lot of that, actually, believe it or not, I do think is a lot of beast and occult symbolism. So I do think that these fires that we're seeing is just kind of a side effect in this reality of energies swinging from one side of the pendulum to the next. I also do think, like, sometimes they can be used. Like, some of them, this is the thing that I'm getting at. And I'm pretty sure this is what happened a few times in California. It is so cheap to get a gallon of gas and a book of matches. I don't know why we got to start sending fucking billion-dollar fucking things up into the sky shooting fucking insane lasers.
Yeah.
When you can just throw some gas and a fucking match and it'll take care of itself.
I almost feel, though, that it's not. I mean, if it is an energy weapon, like you're alluding to, then to me, I feel like it's not necessarily done to start the fire, but it's like a test. if that were the
Well,
case, like they're testing
yeah, I
it
mean,
out.
I would even contemplate just certain frequencies coming into this reality that is just causing that to happen.
Oh, okay. Well, that's wild. I didn't even think of that.
Think of this. Yeah, I was talking about before with the fires and shit. Other stuff that makes me think that as well was all that chemical spillage.
Mm,
Basically, all that is in an abundance, high powerful energy that will just destroy everything around it.
gotcha.
It is
Okay.
still explosive beast energy. Rockets.
Yeah.
Explosive beast energy. I mean, we got fucking Elon crazy with that shit. So I
Yeah.
think we're seeing a lot of. I mean, that's just phallic energy in itself. To think
Yeah.
about. His fucking rockets look like dicks, for fuck's sake.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
have you? I mean, one thing that I always thought was weird that it was so phallic is why does every glass pipe look like a fucking dick?
Right?
Like I don't
Yeah, right.
like why does it look like I'm licking the tip of a dick if I if I'm trying to smoke a bowl? Like,
And what do you do? Lighting that shit up too.
what?
You're lighting it up.
Hell yeah, yeah. You're lighting it
Fucking
up.
fire through that shit.
Yeah.
Sucking on it.
Yeah. I'm like, did all these glass blowers get together and like we want them to look like dicks? All right, like that's part of being in the union. You're like you have to make it look like a dick. I don't. Yeah, I never understood. Like, give me
Even
give me a
with
different one.
the fire in itself, if you think about that, that is serious alchemical change too. You are now
Yeah.
taking something into air. That's a
Yeah.
serious. That's like a very big symbol too. That comes sometimes is shown for like the destruction of crossing into the abyss as well, which is why I do wonder, like, why I think it's going from like one type of aeon. I hate to use these words as an example, but like, the Great Awakening. We're moving
Mhm.
from one aeon next. One fucking form of a matrix maybe into another one, kind of upgrading or changing.
Okay.
And
I
there'll be
guess.
destruction. There'll be destruction in doing that.
Yeah, for sure. Do you? What's your opinion on the whole alien thing? Because that's another thing that I've been dying to talk to somebody about, and I don't know anything. I mean, I don't. The fact that the government admitted that they're real, and I'm like, okay, now something's up. If the government said it's true, then I'm like, I don't believe it. So,
My opinion on that stuff changed drastically also when I had a magical experience. I was already I was already teetering on the line. Is this even a globe? Is it fucking flat Earth? Is it just a chunk of fucking rock out there in space?
yeah.
I questioned like what was even out there, the other planets, this and that. But after having a magical experience, I'll be totally honest with you. I don't believe any of that shit out there is real.
Okay. Yeah.
And I do question. I guess I would prescribe to, I guess, flat Earth more than a globe, because I do believe that, as crazy as it sounds, we are just like energy being projected onto a surface.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And that this is kind of like a matrix, or of light.
Okay.
And so I'm just assuming we must be like being projected onto some sort of flat surface to make that happen. Or something to that effect. But so for me, aliens, because of believing that, one, again, from having magical experiences, I think from looking at people's stories, especially ones that became famous and made money, or just UFO stories that have in fact impacted the way people think, or alien things and abduction. In my opinion, a lot of stories, believe it or not, can be somebody telling their magical experience and selling it in a sci-fi way.
Okay.
I even think aliens, in a sense, could be just like almost like your pineal gland, or a part of your brain that you're tapping into when you have a magical experience. Like the whole gray alien, or even like Crowley, he had lamb. And that was supposedly some entity that he was talking to. In my opinion, I think lamb was just a way to personify like the abyss, or his holy guardian angel, or his self not in the flesh.
Okay.
So I think when it comes to aliens, my opinion, if it catches on enough, I do think there is a good possibility that we will be sold that bullshit to neither disguise what we think's going on in the sky, which is probably really going on in our eyes and our brain, to buy into whatever we're going to be bullshitted that's going on, or just, control, or unifying under whatever. I think the alien idea that public has is bullshit, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's much of a occultism change. And I think the side effect, you have seen UFO sightings and alien stuff is a side effect of the change of the system again. Things coming into this reality that weren't once before, and maybe things changing, vibratory rates changing. I think what we think we're seeing when that happens could possibly be aliens or UFOs. There's a lot of, even when it comes to Enochian magic with Jack Parsons and other people, there is known UFO sightings when they're fucking around with that shit.
Yeah, well,
I'm
even
not saying that there's actually something physically there. There is a change in the fucking reality.
Yeah.
That you're seeing as a side effect.
Yeah. Well, like on that.
Well, you're putting something into this reality, and you think it's a disc.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like that Skinwalker show, every time that they would do some sort of like digging, or, they were trying to initiate like some sort of UFO.
Energetic change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was one of the things on that show that I, was just like, I think if you had somebody here who maybe understood magic a little bit, or was a little bit more into occultism and frequencies and numbers, you'd actually probably see what they're really doing with some small things.
Yeah.
They're just doing things that are just trying to change the reality around them in frequency.
Yeah.
Or energy. I'm sure that there was probably something that happened.
Yeah, I was abducted by aliens. It was a terrible experience. They threw me in the back of their truck and then forced me to pick vegetables all morning.
What the fuck?
I'm kidding.
Vegetables? Oh,
illegal.
I was going to say
illegal aliens.
Oh, you. Oh shit.
The joke works better when you're from California. I just
probably would have worked if I was like back out in Queens, but I'm an asshole now.
Yeah. I was wondering if it was what?
I haven't been to a Home Depot in the last few weeks. So.
You know what? With Home Depot too, I wonder like if you go to a home, because I work with some people that are Hispanic, and I'm like, do they have Home Depots in Mexico? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, who's standing out front asking for jobs at the Mexican Home Depot? Is it white people? Like, and then is there like a white lady in like a Ford pickup truck selling hot dogs, like instead of tamales? Like it's just, I just wonder, like, is it different there? I don't know. Yeah.
No, you come over by us. I mean, the Home Depots over by us are like fucking swarmed with them.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's that way here for sure.
Yeah, you'll see. I've seen. Yeah, you'll have people walking around like even like selling like food and shit. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. We have like here. It's they got the lady that's selling the tamales out of her Astro van.
Yeah. What are those sugared things? Those churros? Or whatever?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's like going to the fucking fair, man.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, dude,
it's like a family affair too. It's like the husband's down there trying to work,
and
the wife is down there. It's shit.
Nah, man, it's cool. But honestly, though, like I mean, it's a great place to go if you have something that you need to get done, and you don't want to have to, you have no friends to help you. So, like, I moved recently, and I had one friend that helped me, and that was great. But if I was gonna need more, I was gonna have to find somebody, and I would have gone to Home Depot because I had no other friends that were gonna be able to help me to move. So, it's great, man. And they just want to work. I'm fine with that. I've been tempted to go down there, but I don't. I'm part Mexican, but I'm just not enough in order for me to. I can't communicate. I don't know any Spanish, but yeah, man. But aliens, anyways, aliens.
Again, with the aliens, I do think. I think even sometimes, like even let's say you thought you were abducted, I do think sometimes that can be somebody might have had a magical experience, and that's the way that their brain decided to tell them what happened.
Yeah.
Our brain, I've done it to myself plenty of fucking times. if you do not understand something, you'll just lie to yourself. Your brain will actually just concoct a story to make you accept it and understand it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
But like,
when,
if your brain doesn't understand something, it's like almost like I can't handle this.
yeah,
I have to know something or think I know. Just tell me something and I can believe it.
yeah, you try to make it
And,
into something you understand.
Yes, and I think that happens.
Yeah, like there, I don't know, you what you said. It reminded me of something, but I was not abducted by aliens. It was just a bad joke, but but I had a dream. I had dreams back in like high school and my early young adult age, and it was a dream. And I want to get your opinion on this, but it was white. Everything was completely white, and then there would be black shapes, geometrical shapes that were. I was trying to fit them together, and as I was doing that, I was also having to figure out, like, solve these equations, these math equations, and I could not do them. And I didn't see my body. It was just like white, white background, like just the whole everything was white, and then the numbers and the shapes were black. And I kept trying to get these things to fit and to solve these things, and I could not do it. And I woke up like kind of like like a gasping, like it was a, and I had like sorry, I had like sweats. I was like sweating profusely, and like my stomach was in knots. It was like I had this like crazy nightmare, and that was what it was. It was just me not being able to solve these like equations. Like it's always kind of bothered me, and I can't figure out what that could have been. I don't know.
Sometimes I do think when it comes to paranormal activity, which is why I'm interested in it, poltergeists and stuff like that. Sometimes I do think that sometimes the weirdness that happens is just literally from the person themselves. Something there's just could have been something going inside your mind that
Yeah,
created all that to happen.
yeah. I
It's crazy.
feel like I feel like it was just it was probably a time in my life where I was trying to solve things and I just couldn't. Like probably trying to fit in, like, where is my place? And I couldn't solve that equation. So I mean that's probably what, I don't know. You said something that made me think about that, and I was like, oh, so
I can see that in a sense because I do think, believe it or not, part of having a magical experience may actually be to the point where you actually almost like short circuit yourself out for trying to make sense of shit that doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
Crazy as that sounds, like I think you could easily, probably, if somebody was to sit down and really get into what they think is right and wrong in this and that, then look at the way that they live. It's almost life is one big contradiction.
Yeah.
It's very easy to live in a contradiction, and if you start like trying to dismantle it, I think your brain might actually have like, might start acting weird. You might start making change literally inside yourself, mentally, spiritually.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, and it gets a little deep. But I do think maybe you even maybe you're hitting your brain a little bit. Those questioning. No, as silly as it sounds, you might start getting it to maybe go other places to give you an answer that it normally doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
You might have been lighting up parts of your mind that you haven't in a long time, or you may have never done.
God, yeah, that was before I had kids. Once you have kids, you kind of become brain dead. So that was before I had kids and an ex-wife I couldn't stand. So it's funny how life can totally make you numb. It's not all the chemicals that had closed my third eye. It was the kids, and it was the ex-wife. Just shut me down, man. Shut me down.
Kids definitely can, I'm sure.
Yeah. All those.
Even with that, it's like you got to start worrying about shit that you weren't even worrying about prior.
Well, and honestly, I'm gonna tell you too. My oldest and my ex-wife, both energy vampires. I don't know if you believe in that, but I didn't until I ended up having my first kid and my ex-wife. I was like, okay, these energy vampires are real. Yeah. But I wanted to talk to you about, because I know you just got into like the whole ghost hunting thing, so I know that you're not like deep into it, but how is that going anyways? Like I know you said that you got some equipment. Have you actually gone out at all?
No, like I said, I did take like we were talking about prior. I had taken it out, and I fucked around with the EMF. I mean, I bought cameras that I was going to film with, and until then, I kind of went out and did a few things with my equipment with the camera wise, just to learn how to use it, and because I was interested in it. And I did get a drone that I actually, believe it or not, just for other reasons, but one of the reasons, even with the ghost hunting, is that I wanted to, when I film my stuff, I want to be able to use a drone and get a whole, cinematic, video of where I'm going. It'll look pretty sick. But a lot of like I said, a lot of the stuff I've just been learning how to use the cameras. I did get a thermal. I did get an EMF reader. I got a radiation thing. I have the voice recorder. I've played around with all of them, but I have not actually really gone out and ghost hunted anything yet. I do have something planned. I may actually bring this stuff with me. I'm going to be going to Connecticut to check out something with one of the guys from Hush Hush Podcast.
Okay, yeah.
There's supposed area out there where there's like a pentagram and like some like weird shit set up in like some town square. I may bring the EMF, maybe the radiation or like the thermal cam, just to check out real quick. But in October, I'm going to try to make it to Ron, my friend Ron. He has Wicked Planet podcast. He works at a garage, and the garage is known to be haunted. Like even the people there are like, "Yo, you definitely got ghosts in this place. It's very weird." Somebody has gone there ready to ghost hunt. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna spend a day with Ron and probably do the podcast at his studio that is in the garage. We'll do a podcast together. I'll probably interviewing him for what has actually happened there, and maybe get some other people's accounts. And then I'm going to spend the night and set up the equipment and hopefully get something out of it.
Okay.
Hoping to do that. I am possibly going to go to Mount Wilson Ranch, but to really do like a serious, busting out all the equipment and recording it and walking around and shit, I probably really won't pop my cherry until then. Yeah, this stuff that I even wanted to do that like I've really just been procrastinating doing, because I guess if I do get what I think I'm going to get out of it, like it's probably going to like just suck up all my time, because I'll just be 100% gung-ho about it. But like I even think honestly with my EMF detector and my thermal cam, I think I could go into a meditation and probably record shit and show proof.
That's what I'm changing. Yeah, when I heard you talking about that, I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm so fucking excited! I want you to do that."
I could honestly take that shit out of the bags now. Really should. I should honestly take out like the EMF detector and the thermal and fuck around with it a little bit more. Get it to where I know it's gonna do as best as it can for like inside my my apartment. And I really should honor it, because like all I have to do for that is literally just press like record and lay down and meditate for 30 minutes.
Yeah, because
and like honestly, like even if I don't get anything right away, it's still beneficial for me to do that. Meditate for a half hour every day. But like it's like literally like all I have to do is just turn this shit on and press record. And I think like, because I do think like the same thing, I DJ. And I plan on doing a live DJ mix for right before Halloween, because I will be going to Salem for Halloween and interviewing streets. That's another thing I'll be doing. But I want to start doing DJ mixes, and I know the type of person that I am. As soon as I hook up this mixer that I bought to go with the DJ program I have, I'm going to be sucked up into it. I'm going to be gung-ho, balls to the wall. I got a fucking DJ mix, going now. I know as soon if I start getting things with that equipment, part of the reason I haven't gone gung-ho with it is because I'm afraid that I'll put the podcast to the side. And stop as much as I did. So it's like I'm trying to like, also trying to, believe it or not, actually have a bunch of stuff recorded for both shows because of that situation.
Just in case.
So
Yeah.
yeah. 'Cause, the next few weeks I have booked myself a lot because I want to get a lot of work done. So in case I do end up going to Ron's, that's going to take time editing footage, going through. If I have stuff recording for 8 hours, I have to literally watch it. Then I have to edit it. Then I have to make it. That's going to be time consuming as shit, to where I may want to take off a week from podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I'm saying? With me
Yeah.
thinking of other things in mind, I do know it'll be time consuming. But really, honestly, me just putting on the EMF thing and really putting a camera on my EMF recorder just to record the change, and putting on a thermal cam really for 30 minutes a day isn't, I think I can handle that. I just need to get my ass in gear.
Yeah, man. Do it.
And,
Are you gonna, post it anywhere?
Oh, fuck yeah, I will.
Okay.
Yeah, if I get, and this, believe it or not, I have gotten this from fucking Ghost Adventures.
Mhm.
Silly as it sounds, and I do think a lot of these ghost shows, they're occultists in themselves, and I think that's why they're involved in this stuff. That guy did point out some serious shit one time. He had a guy on that was claiming that he was able to kind of like astral project, and like they were using a thermal on him, and it literally was showing shit that was inside of him coming out of his fucking head into the air. And I do think that I can pretty much do the same thing. If magic is what I think it is, I would think you will see some sort of change in a thermal cam of energy actually moving within my body and possibly out of me. I think I can show that.
Yeah,
I think with meditation in itself, if I was to start practicing and getting it down good, I think I could probably at least show fluctuation of temperature and change up and down my body.
I've seen
I think I can do that easily.
Yeah, I've seen video of these monks that they'll meditate, and then they're able to raise their temperature to the point where, like, if you put a hot rag on them, it'll start, or not a hot rag, but if you put a rag on them, of like a cold rag, it'll start to steam and then dry up. And I saw with the thermal,
I myself to almost sweating at times.
Yeah.
Dude. I believe for a fact, 100%, you can build up energy in parts of your body that will raise your temperature and will show up on a thermal.
Yeah, for sure. My co-host had a couple of questions that some of them had to deal with the whole ghost hunting stuff, and I know that you're not too into it, but like, I mean, you're into it, but you're not like, you know what
I'm saying?
Yeah, you haven't experienced it a lot, but you're into it. But he did have a question.
Yeah, I'm thinking from more of an occult angle, which is why I thought, again, we're going back to numbers again.
Yeah,
I need equipment to read the change of frequencies and numbers so I can prove that something's going on.
Well, and that's why I've been super interested in you going out and doing this, because to me, I feel like I've seen people do it from like try to take it from a scientific angle, but you are going into it from like an occult angle, and that I appreciate.
Another reason why I haven't even gone too crazy with it yet either is because it's like I don't even know like what to call it. Because I technically don't want to call it ghost hunting, because I'm not really so like, again, ghosts, in my opinion, are a side effect of magic happening, or a side effect of our reality changing. You know, so like I want to capture and show the proof of the energy change. So am I more of like an energy hunter than a ghost hunter? So it's like I don't even know what to even classify myself, or how even, I hate to say it, but how do I even market or promote something I'm not selling monetarily?
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
But I want to be able to catch people's attention so they even watch it or listen.
Yeah, you got to use some generic term, because what you're doing, nobody's done yet. Yeah. I know. I'm stoked though. I definitely, I'm gonna keep in touch with you, because once you get it done and once you do it, dude, I'm pretty excited.
I mean, one thing I was thinking about doing, which I I might end up doing this week. I did want to. There's a couple of old historic cemeteries near me on Long Island that are like old as shit, and like one of them is known for supposedly having hauntings at it. I may not go at night because, or I got to check out the situation and see how it is. Like, I'm not trying to get locked up for something fucking stupid or a ticket for it. But if I could go at night, think I can get away with it at least,
Yeah.
I will go. But during the day, if I can, I know it's not as spooky because it's not as dark out, and I don't have a green light on my camera when I'm filming it. But I want to go through there and I guess check to even see the types of names and families that are in these old as shit graveyards to show you maybe what kind of prominent people might have been around in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wanted to go around it with my EMF detector and just like walk certain areas and just see if I get spikes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that's not as exciting as maybe, a regular Ghost Adventures thing, but I was just interested, like, I could go and film this and get nothing, and it's not even put it out. I'm just interested in, could you even get spikes in EMF in graveyards, especially old ones that might have been built maybe in a specific place.
Yeah.
Ones next to churches. If a church had a graveyard or a cemetery, I think actually when it comes to a church, name changes. It's neither cemetery or graveyard. It's one or the other. They had to be built if they were done correctly. Churches were built a certain way with north, south, east, and west.
Mm-hmm.
The area where people were buried had to be on a specific side of the church as well. And that starts to make me wonder, is there some sort of sacred geometry, energy, whatever's going on there?
Yeah. You said that during the day is not as spooky, which I would agree.
Well,
but it's weird to me.
Yeah, it's not as much either. When people want to check out paranormal stuff, they're like, "Oh, this is during the day. This isn't scary. The lights aren't out."
Yeah. Why is it that ghosts only show up at night? Like, are they on a schedule? Like, I don't. Like, it's never made sense to me. I guess kind of like it might have something to do with. I've seen people explain it's like
of the tail.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of. It was kind of somebody was saying it had something to do with the moon and like the gravitational pull and all that other stuff. So
I can see that making sense too. Yeah, I could see that all playing in. That may actually all have something to do with it.
Here's a question that my co-host had. He said, if a ghost possesses me and fucks my girl, does that make us Eskimo bros?
I think that would, right?
Yeah, I think so.
know.
There's actually Dan Aykroyd, his whole family has been into the whole ghost thing forever. In fact, when the whole spiritualism or whatever you want to call it, when all of that was like on the rise back in I don't know when it was. Shit, I can't remember. Terrible with numbers and history. But his family was at the front of it, and he was from Canada. But he says that he actually had sex with a ghost. So he said that a ghost got on top of him, and he let the ghost do what they wanted to do. So I don't know if that's true or not, but
I like Dan Aykroyd, and actually, I think he's a rather intelligent man.
Oh yeah.
I watched, I think it was an interview with him about Ghostbusters, and finding out like there was a lot about that. I guess that movie that I didn't know, and probably most people didn't know, that like he wrote the whole thing at first, and they knocked it down for a few reasons. One, they said he said basically the whole movie was nonstop ghost busting.
Yeah.
Which was going to get ridiculously expensive. And then they said that they thought that who was the other guy that ended up running it with him? He was able to get an okay from them if he agreed to write it with that person, because then they knew there'd be a little bit less ghost hunting and more satire and just more of a whole, I guess, movie.
Yeah.
And he even in this interview, I wish I remember which one it was, because I would just like send out the links to people. The guy does actually come out and say, Dan Aykroyd does say in this interview that Ghostbusters is also has a lot of occult ideas based in it.
Yeah.
And I do think it does, honestly. I think it has a fuck ton of occultism. I mean, you get the one chick that all of a sudden starts acting all horny and shit, and then you got some beast running around. What the fuck do you think that is? Like, we got the Scarlet Horn, the beast, right there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then let's like they don't cross the streams. You got the pillars. You got phallic energy with the building. you got a lot of stuff going on that I think there's tons of occultism in it. So it's like even he could be even telling you that story that in a way it could be true. It's just like, again, is he using paranormal terminology?
Yeah, like what you were talking about earlier.
Occultism.
Yeah.
Again, paranormal and aliens, I think, are two of the biggest sellers for actual magic, sci-fi, in a sense. I mean, not knocking Zach Baggins, but I think Zach Baggins is an occultist and a magician, and I do think like part of his thing, and even stuff that I would do, I would go somewhere that I know that might be known for having magical, paranormal stuff going on, and as a magician, I'm going to see if I can somehow try to create an atmosphere as well to cause shit to happen.
Yeah.
Like I was saying before about blowing out the candle.
Mm-hmm.
If I was to have stayed practicing on being able to change shit in my reality, who's to say I'm not going to go ghost hunt and try to record me doing that, acting like a fool?
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Making fucking money doing it.
Yeah.
The guy doesn't... Again, not knocking him, but I mean, if you look into the stuff that he owns and you look into his museums and you look into stuff that he's very much into the occult and secret societies, I don't think it's a grasp of what I'm getting at.
Yeah. No, actually,
it was like, yo, we'll put you on TV and buy you all the fucking equipment you want. You can go out and fucking record yourself trying to do magic and ghost hunt, and we'll give you millions of dollars. I'm like, yo, sold.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'll only do it if you give me a bunch of Ed Hardy shirts.
Yeah, I'd be learning myself, but the whole thing, unfortunately, the public would be probably handed the research in a fictitious way.
Yeah.
That's what would suck about it.
Yeah. I actually never wanted, because we live pretty close. My wife and I, we live close to Vegas. We go to Vegas every once in a while. And I never was interested in going to his museum. But after listening to that podcast that you guys had, I definitely want to go now.
Yeah, I want to see if I can somehow... That's something that I would go to just to try to do that. I know a bunch of podcasts that I've worked with these roundtables. We have thought about possibly doing a meetup in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm really not big into gambling, but I'm all for, like, I'll definitely go down there, get drunk, stoned, and people watch.
Dude, yeah, man.
It'll be like Las Vegas for me. I'll go down there, get fucking, shit-faced, hang out with them, and we'll gawk at the craziness that goes on in Vegas. But I was thinking it would be cool if we could all stop at that museum too.
Yeah, yeah. I never wanted to go until I ended up listening to the podcast. I can't remember who it was that you had on, but it was those. I think it was.
I'm trying to think. Fuck, was it the Brown Brothers?
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, they went and they did the tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they were talking about it. I was like, oh shit, yeah, okay. It sounded good then. And they were talking about like it had Kevorkian's band.
If I would have had people who went on and probably like wasn't such huge fans of him to where I was afraid they may take what I was saying in a negative sense, I would have touched on a lot more shit in that episode. But there was a lot of things that they're saying that I really do think this dude is an occultist.
Yeah,
that place is set up like even like, and not that I don't. Guy's just trying to make money, and I'm sure if you go in there and you don't take everything, like you're not so fearful and take everything so crazy serious, you'll probably walk out fine. And it didn't do anything to you except for take a couple of bucks out of your pocket, and give you some entertainment. You know what I'm saying? But I'm sure like a lot of ideas that people can get artistic with and start putting time and passion into can be things that it's like means something to them from a magical experience. And to me, I just think that place is built on ideas of magical experiences.
Yeah.
Something to do with magic or an energy change or paranormal shit due to magic.
Yeah, one last thing about magic, a question that my co-host had. He was asking, is there any magical symbols or any kind of magic that can make things bigger? I think his question is, can he use magic to make his dick bigger? I think that
I was just gonna ask, you trying to make his dick bigger?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was, but I'm like, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, trying to make it magic. I don't know. I to be totally honest with you, I've never even come across something like that.
Yeah, I think
Even as like a magical book, make your dick bigger. Fuck.
yeah, you think they would have one though? You think they'd have some sort of like
There's probably some sort of. I'm sure there's some sort of natural herb. Believe it or not, that will probably send more blood to your dick, like Viagra does, and will make it bigger.
Yeah, they have they have those at the gas stations, man. 7-Eleven is right there up front.
Right?
Yeah, I'll just tell them to go for that, man.
Tell them to get like a 1 pound weight. It was like a little ankle sandbag thing, and just hang it on his dick.
Yep.
And we'll just stretch it.
Out. Yeah, I'm sure he's
Put it
gonna
on
listen.
there, let it stretch it out, and I'll get him a mantra to repeat for fucking 20 minutes, and they'll.
And then charge him $100 for it.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Yeah,
I like this candle too when you're doing it.
That's right.
Oh, the candle's another $50 because I've blessed it and it's got herbs and oils.
Exactly. Yeah. Honestly, about all the things that we've talked about, I think that is because I feel like it's so hard to get truth in all of these areas, whether it be magic or just anything in the cult, right? Astrology, the crystals, all.
And the problem with that, and again, I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm better than or I know more, because I did a lot of the same shit myself, but like I just think even in general, people who are ignorant to what root magic is, it's because everything that they're reading and the way other magicians are handing down their stuff is still so deeply occulted, we're misinterpreting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that you even have people like, people at the top. Yeah, they're the ones who want people dumb to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the people down, the dumb people trying to figure it out so they can better themselves and hack the matrix, they're even believing wrong information and rehanding it out.
Yeah.
Repackaging.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're just unfortunately ignorant and just passing on ignorant information. And I think that happens, unfortunately, a lot when it comes to witchcraft and magic. And even part of it, I'm not knocking anybody. We all got issues, and I'm not knocking mentally ill people. But when it comes to witchcraft and magic, that's also a really big community for mentally ill people to almost like kind of, I hate to say flourish, but it's a way for them to kind of tell themselves something that's not real. But it's a way for you to continue to play on delusions.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It's a way to still kind of lie to your mind about what reality is. Also, like you will see, unfortunately, a lot of people like that getting involved, and then you have to question what starts coming out of their mouths.
Yeah, that's true.
Or it's just, I mean, I guess that could go with really anything in life, any area. But in magic, I will say that's been my experience from like online groups and in real life stuff. Magic can be, and witchcraft can be a hotbed of mental health as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've just my reasoning behind that, I do think is because people that I knew that were very, very off in certain ways that were into magic also really socially mind fucked themselves with the weirdest shit. And like try to magically fix stuff. It's hard to explain, but you can see that their delusional mind can run with certain things. Yeah, it's sad. It's actually sad. They probably actually make them worse with magic.
Yeah, trying to make magic overcome their shortcomings, like trying to make your dick bigger.
Yes. That was like even another thing that I had even noticed with like the OTO and why I was like kind of done with it. Not even with like, people that are off, just people in general. It's like with the image of the OTO that it gives, it almost is that like if you were to do shadow work, it's almost as if like, all right, I'm acknowledging the bad part of myself and I'm embracing it now.
Mm-hmm.
I need to experience it. No, you're actually just feeding it and becoming it now. You need to understand and evaluate why you feel that is not something of you that needs to exist anymore and remove it. You don't fucking embrace it and live it for a while and then say that was no good, because they're fucking handcuffs. They're a lot harder to take off than to put on.
Yeah.
And I felt a lot of people kind of getting stuck feeding their dark selves than removing it.
When
I
you,
understand you have to acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge it and say, I don't like that anymore. You have to acknowledge it, but stop
Yeah.
fucking playing with it.
yeah, when you ended up getting out of the OTO, were there any other people that you saw leave? Like, was there somebody that like left, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, this
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
inspired me to take that jump too, that jump ship.
Yeah, I had one friend that was, it was other reasons. I had people that were leaving for other reasons. One of them left before me, and his was much more of a pure political angle, that he was getting
Okay.
tired of the liberal and the leftist ideology, and just like I mean, the OTO even at one point not too long ago, or at least I'm pretty sure I was like an active member when it happened. I think they even like made like a new role for like the deacon so it could fit a non-binary person, and we were just like, yo, what the
Okay.
fuck does that have to do with this shit? And we're just like, all right, we're just placating to
Yeah.
mentally ill people. Again, these things attract mentally ill people, and unfortunately I do think that shit falls in line with that. Sorry, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So like he was already getting tired of that, and then this was actually one of the things that made me finally say I am done. I won't make it too long, but it was one of the things that I remember. My boy was like really trying to hammer down on me, and like for the first day or two after the situation, I was a little touched. I did think it was unnecessary, and shouldn't have been an OTO thing. But I don't think I caught the brevity of it until a few days later, and I was like, "Hold up, this dude's right." But for one, they did close down for COVID-19, and they crumbled
Yeah.
to whatever the CDC said. I thought that was shady as hell at first, but since I probably had not gone to anything for 6 months already, already considered myself out the door because of the magical experiences I had, and just thought it wasn't a place for me.
Yeah.
I was already like, okay, there's not much for me to do here.
Yeah.
When that happened, they decided to start doing their stuff on Zooms. They would have, poetry readings, meditations, book readings. For the Book of the Law, normally the OTO would have 3 days of rituals and then food for the Book of the Law on Zoom. Just one person would do the ritual, obviously, because everybody's isolated. And, nobody's talking. Nobody's
Yeah.
going out. Well, I got to stay away. So we're doing. Somebody would do that and maybe read or whatever. They did something. So long story short, basically with the Zooms, all I had to do was just click a link, throw in headphones, and lay on the couch or walk around or do whatever I was doing. I think at one point I was even driving around listening to one of them once. I did not have to actually be present and say anything. I just had to, click on a link and listen. So I was like, all right, I can kind of still go to their things, not have to socialize, not have to really, I could pick and choose really easily. So I figured, all right, I did, I think, 2 or 3 Zooms. And then one day I got an email, and it said that they were going to have a Zoom meeting, and it came from like the lodge email. It wasn't like a personal email from the lodge master or anybody there. They used the OTO official email and sent out an email talking about, would we like to maybe, I think it was like 2:00 today, we're going to talk about what happened with George Floyd and everything. And I'm looking at this email, and I'm like, I was even thinking, like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm like, OTO is very much, and I'm not promoting Alcoholics Anonymous when I say this, but I'm just using them as an example because they're a perfect example. They have nothing to say outside of Alcoholics Anonymous. The only thing that they care about is keeping that thing going. That's exactly how the OTO is supposed to be. They're not supposed to have opinions on fucking anything outside of the OTO. Anything outside of the OTO is off limits. I'm like, why the fuck are we going to talk about this? So I was like, yo, I'm going to admit it. I wanted to go just to be a fly on the wall. I was like, I got to hear what the fuck they're going to talk about in this shit. Again, because like I'm saying, all I had to do basically most of these things was join. And if it was like something serious, they'd just maybe go around the room so other people can introduce themselves. Because sometimes they had people from other lodges joining ours as well, or like, 2 lodges doing a thing together. So like the most I had to do was be like, yeah, Nick, Tahuti Lodge, blah, blah, blah. That's it. So I was like, all right, I got to jump in on this and listen to this shit. And they're going on about what happened. And then they mentioned if anybody wants to go around and talk about times that they experienced racism in their life. I was like, oh boy, here we go. I had nothing to say, so I didn't say anything. But a few people did, and a few people got a little emotional about it. And like one guy who was black, and he was a lawyer, and somebody that I had looked up to. Again, I realized you can't put people on pedestals because you don't know who the fuck they are.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this guy starts going off about how we cannot let Antifa be deemed domestic terrorists. If Antifa is deemed domestic terrorists, our rights and all the laws just went out the window. We will lose everything. We will be screwed. Then they started promoting BLM. And then they started asking if any of us wanted to protest and meet up in the city or in Brooklyn. And do people want to make signs and this and that? And at that point, I realized, in my opinion, this just turned into a leftist breeding tank.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with magic now. This has to do with mindsets and beliefs outside of magic. And I was not cool with that,
Yeah.
And that was the last time I ever did anything involved with them.
Yeah. Good thing you got out, man.
Yeah, well, I had filled out paperwork to leave because, believe it or not, once you pass Minerval and do the first degree, you were like written in the book for life. Even if you stop going, your name's in this magical book and for life.
This means you're gonna keep getting up it's like spam email for every fuck, I forgot to unsubscribe.
So I guess just wanted to be free. I want my name out of it. Whatever, to prove a point.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So you have to ask for paperwork, and they send it to you. You fill it out, and you send it back. I got it, sent it back, but like the process for that, the kid again who left because of that, he already thought the CDC shit was screwed up. But after he had jumped on that same live that I was on, he only listened just like I did. He was fucking floored by that.
Yeah.
I was floored by it, but was still, again, paying attention to some of the racist experiences these people had. My heart was still touched a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But again, and once I started realizing like what everything was being said and how it was even ran, how it was directed, who said what, all their degrees and the cliques that are going on, to me, it was quite choreographed.
Yeah.
And, so a few days later, I was like, yeah, for sure. So that shit pissed me off. But, fuck, I forgot what I was getting at already. But yeah, but my friend had seen that and was like, no way, I'm not doing that anymore. And he had asked for the paperwork, I think, within days.
Yeah.
I eventually waited a few months, but like I even knew from his experience, I think it was almost 6 months by the time he got his shit.
Damn.
I don't know if he ever sent it back, but he told me he got it.
Yeah.
It took me probably about close to a few months to get it, sent it back. And before I even got it back, I ended up getting an email from the Lodge Master. When I first came out on my podcast, and unfortunately they're all down because Spreaker, Rumble, BitChute, and YouTube, every social media platform I had it on, took it down.
Really?
I did the Minerval first, second, and third degree on my podcast. Now,
wow.
I did use part of their book, The Rituals of the Secret Rituals of the OTO, or something like that. You can find the PDF. The only problem is on the PDF is that when it comes to the grips and the word said, it's going to be missing, or if it's even in there, it's completely wrong. And is other things in there that is just not correct anymore. I tried to cover them from the best that I could remember. I mean, obviously, I remembered the grips and the words, so all that was correct. But maybe like some of the things in the descriptions of things being set up, I may not have been 100% right, but I try to base off of that and from my experience give the best detail of what these initiations were. Those got taken down. I got hit with a DMCA slap.
Really? Wow.
Because it's copyrighted information and I did not have the right to publicize it. There is a female in my the lodge that I used to go to that if you were to go look up Leo Zagami and find, I mean, that guy in himself is a whole other character, who knows, but he at one point was going to put out a book, and inside of it, it was going to have stuff about the OTO degrees and initiations, and a chick from my lodge, he even puts her whole fucking name on the website and everything and points the finger at her. so-and-so, because she is a lawyer and she was at my lodge and I was actually pretty close to her.
Yeah.
She threw a DMCA slap on him because she heard about the book and
Wow.
found out that it had that stuff in it and it had to get taken out. So I am pretty much sure that is the same motherfucker that did it to me.
Yeah.
They filled out and actually sent something to these places and they legally had to take it down.
That's wild, man.
So because of that, and eventually me showing my face, because eventually, like, I got a camera, I started showing my face. Even though Lux didn't want to, I started to show my face on other shows because I was like, why the fuck am I going to start hiding? Like,
Yeah.
if I'm telling people not to be fearful on my show, why the fuck am I going to be fearful about the OTO?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a whole other thing. But I was just like, why the fuck am I hiding from these motherfuckers? I'm not pointing out specific names and giving addresses and say, go do dumb shit. I'm not saying that. So why am I fearful of the OTO? So eventually of showing myself, I guess maybe they eventually came across me and said, oh, that's Nick.
Yeah.
Now we know the voice to the face. So then I got an email sent to me telling me one day that since I have broken, you know, the thing, and on my podcast, the NY Patriot and the Occult Rejects have talked about stuff that is neither copyrighted or was not allowed to repeat, that I swore secrecy to, I am now have to be reviewed. And they were going to send a copy of this to all the secretaries and all the people of the lodge that I was in that had a role, and they're sending it to Outer Head and the people above. And 2 or 3 weeks later, I got a letter in the fucking mail sent to me from the Outer Head telling me you are no longer a member because of what I did. I'm thinking in my head, motherfuckers, I've already petitioned you to leave.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck? Would you get my fucking notice and put 2 and 2 together and was like, no.
You can't fire me because I quit. Can't fire me, I quit.
Yeah. I was like, fuck, motherfuckers, I tried quitting and now you're firing me.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, oh, now I can collect unemployment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Exactly. Dude,
But I
that's
was,
fucking crazy.
yeah, that's kind of, I know that was kind of long, but I did want to include like that actual was the whole process of me leaving the OTO. I'm not, again, I mean, I have showed it on Twitter before I lost that Occult Rejects account. Lux ended up taking it over.
Yeah.
He was a little upset and took over the account.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe if you go look at the old ones, if you didn't erase it, you can see that. It might even be on my Instagram. All the shit. I did show a post of the photo. There is proof I have posted on social media that I did get that letter and was kicked out. But I guess the reason why I try to explain that, even though, like, again, I could be lying if there's no physical proof of it, I'm not somebody who's just like, oh, yeah, I stopped going. I literally did actually get kicked out. But I was trying to leave anyway. But I am no longer an active member in any secret society or anything.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want people getting it twisted because you'll have this, in my opinion, there's plenty of people out there that are and deny it. So,
Yeah. No, I believe you. I never questioned it. The one thing that I've always liked it. Yeah.
that are like, oh, you know, because I'd be skeptical too. I'd be skeptical if I had some guy coming on saying, oh, I used to be in a secret society. I'm going to tell you some shit. But
Yeah.
I will say some of the shit that I do say, though, you don't hear coming out of other occultists' mouth, which
No.
I do think is in a way of me showing you that, like, I'm stuff that I understand. I'm not keeping it to myself, especially the eyeball series. I do think that is some real shit. And that's actually some real secrets.
You did
You
that
know,
one.
so
You did the eyeball series not that long ago, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I do think, especially once we get into the brain, I do think, you know, there's some legitimacy to it.
Mhm.
I mean, even from the fact before we talked about a candle and how I said I thought that can be very, you know, powerful and magical. We're trying to have a magical experience. I mean, when your eyes are open, whatever light that's coming in, that gets turned into electricity as soon as it gets into your optic nerve.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're taking in light and converting it into electrical impulse into your brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wild, dude. That's wild.
Serious. In the eyeball series, I show you my opinion 100%. That's where the Grateful Dead got their logo from, to steal your face.
Really?
It is the eyeball, the hyaloid canal, and showing you the conversion of light into electricity.
All right, man.
Because that whole face, even with the skull and the teeth, that is exactly what the cornea in your eyeball looks like. You'd have to. I show them the pictures side by side. If you were to see it, you'd be like, "Holy fuck, that is the Grateful Dead logo."
Yeah, I saw you posted some stuff on Instagram, like showing some of that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you know the science behind what's going on inside your eye and looking at the symbol too, to me, it's just like, okay, I'm sold on that.
Yeah.
Especially when you know electricity is actually involved with being converted in your eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what was the Grateful Dead all about? LSD. What did that do? It changed your pupils. Again, eyeballs, pupil dilation. I was talking again about pupil dilation with magic. Again, just to me, it just seems very fitting for them. They're all about music and taking drugs that changed your eyeball.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to listen to that series. I'm gonna have to take some time out to,
It's a
do
deep
that.
one. It's unfortunately, I think people will have to actually really pay attention to that one. And unfortunately, I think watching the videos will make a ton of difference. That can be harder for people. They don't have 2 hours.
Where can I watch it?
YouTube, Rumble, or BitChute. It's on everything.
Okay.
That's not censored on YouTube.
Okay. Cool. It's not
Which is
censored on
amazing.
YouTube?
I can talk about the cult concepts 24/7 on YouTube and not get a strike. But you say anything about election or COVID, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Still to this day.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
They've taken things out of their rules about COVID, and they still fuck you on it, which is mind blowing to me.
Yeah, I still think it's
Literally
weird.
their rules with the COVID, but yet will still fuck you on things that are not on the list that you can't say anymore.
Yeah. I think it's funny when you still go into a place and they still have like the signs up saying wear a mask.
Oh God, I want to rip them down because you can tell that they're old and they just didn't want to take it.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we're just waiting for the next one.
Complex has that shit all over the place, especially in the laundry rooms because they're old as shit. It's like I want to rip them down, but it's like I know there's a camera in there, and they'll probably be like, "Oh, why'd you take that down? You're gonna have to leave." Like, it's like, where the fuck is it still up?
Yeah, they're waiting for the next one. That's why they're like,
right?
We'll have to just put it up again. I don't want to have to put it up again. We'll just leave it there. So,
yo, when that shit first happened, I remember this, I was questioning it a lot to begin with. Even watching it and going back to the eyeball series that I have, the way that mask is even makes me think of the lens on your face and Corona, the eye. There's a lot of shit with that. But when I first saw this shit going on, first off, and my wife, we caught it before the lockdown even came. Yeah. We had whatever popped as COVID. And I had like a fever for a day and an upset stomach for a few days. And my wife said it felt like she had the flu for maybe a week. And like we caught it on a Friday and she was working from home by Monday when the lockdown came.
Yeah.
Whatever day it was that the lockdown started was like literally like her first day staying home regardless because she had gotten it.
Yeah.
And she was still working from home.
Yeah.
She wasn't bedridden and couldn't even fucking work. She was working with it.
Yeah.
So we're both like, okay, this shit is like, I don't know what's so crazy about this, why people are getting hysterical. I had the shits for 2 days and a fever, and my wife had achy bones and a sniffle for 4 or 5 days. So I was just like, this could have been the fucking Bustelo coffee I drank for all I know. So I'm just like, I don't get the big deal with this. So I started questioning like the insanity going on around it.
Yeah.
And the place that we went to go food shopping at, like within a week or two, had signs drilled into brick on the outside of the place telling you about wearing a mask. And when I saw that, I looked at her and she thought I was crazy. I said, this shit is going to be here for years if this motherfucking thing is screwed into a brick wall.
Oh, yeah.
This company has no plans on removing that. And look at us years later. I remember I remember even Thanksgiving. I know it wasn't a thing to talk about at Thanksgiving. The first Thanksgiving that came, I was telling my wife's liberal fucking parents, this shit is not going anywhere. We're going to hear about it for fucking years because it's going to be a way to control people. And they thought I was crazy. And here we are, how many years later? And now we're hearing about a possible new strain. Yep. We've had how many boosters, and we still got signs up, and motherfuckers still walking around with masks.
Yep. That's the longest fucking 2 weeks, man. I swear to God.
Conspiracy theorists were not wrong about this at all.
No.
They may be wrong about what the whole thing is behind it, trying to theorize why it happened.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's here and it did not go anywhere and it was going to last longer for 2 weeks and control our lives, we were not wrong about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have the right to say it told you so, but you know, even if we did, they still don't fucking listen. So, you know, and the thing is like they can wait a couple of years and everything will be fine. And then they're going to go ahead and do it again. You know,
and
I mean,
like I've even wondered, like with this whole thing again, before how I was saying, I even do think sometimes magic can be weaponized towards people that are mentally off to, you know, control them or to influence them or even get them to want to join their things.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, honestly, I do think COVID, I mean, I don't know how people did not realize that, like, this could seriously affect people that are off.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to traumatize them. And a lot of those people were the ones that we saw acting insane and are the ones that are still walking around with the shit on now.
Yeah.
That shit has not changed for some people at all.
Yeah.
Regardless of, I mean, I've watched people legit. When I was in Queens, I watched people who lived around me drop the mask the day the fucking CDC told them on the TV.
Yeah.
There was people that I had lived with in Queens because I had moved to the area that I was in during COVID. I never once saw their face until the CDC told them. Besides that, there's people that are still wearing them. Those motherfuckers are fucked up. They are fucking traumatized. They're a high success, you know, very easily to do that to. And I do wonder, was that even done on purpose? We're going to mindfuck mentally ill. And they are going to run with this and cause others to bow to their shit. Same thing with this trans agenda. We're getting the 2% mentally ill with this shit to fucking, you know, control the other 98%.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we have, I mean, I've talked about this and I don't want to get, I'm not, all right. I'll even use myself as an example. I'm Italian.
Mm-hmm.
I think growing up with certain Italian heritage, I don't think people realize how fascist it actually is.
Yeah.
You get people from Italy. Obviously, my family left because it was fucked up. But you don't understand, like, if you came from a fascist country, you've accepted some of it until you realized I'm crossing the line here and I don't agree with this. And now I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So you're taking what you already accepted and you're bringing it with you somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting people from China coming over here with masks on prior to COVID.
Yeah.
Who've been meant to believe that if you breathe the air where you live, you're going to die. They got fucking umbrellas. The sun's going to kill you. They are being mind fucked in that country.
Yes.
Coming over here and pushing it with the fucking COVID motherfuckers because they already had masks on before COVID came. There were fucking kids walking the streets with Japanimation masks on because the fucking Asians were wearing them and we want to be cool like them.
Yeah.
We had people wearing masks in New York before COVID.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
There's a fucking reason for that shit. It's people being mind fucked and people copying it to want to fit in. And that's all it is.
Yeah. I do wish that I would have
I'm not trying to knock Chinese people or people from China. It's just that you're getting a huge influx of those people here that come off the boat prior to COVID with an umbrella and a fucking mask on because they think they're gonna die.
Yeah.
That's a fucking problem. You are scared of living. You are scared to exist. That is scary.
Yeah, and then what's the point of living and existing if you're gonna live in fear like that?
An umbrella?
Yeah.
Holy fuck, that's scary, man. So like when you have that in your face for years prior to COVID, I knew as soon as this mask shit hit, I knew in New York this is going to fly because a huge part of the community does it already, either for fashion or because they're afraid to breathe the fucking air to begin with.
Yeah.
I remember when I moved out to Queens, I texted my wife and asked her, what the fuck's up with the masks out here? And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, yo, I said, I said, what is it, doctors? I literally thought, I was like, what's the deal with like a lot?
So many
I was
doctors in
actually,
this town.
I was actually contemplating that there was tons of people in the medical field just walking the streets with masks on.
Yeah.
Because I had never known that this was a fucking thing. And she's like, no, those are the fucking people from China with their masks on.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah. That's so funny. I don't know. The
I was
thing,
like, holy shit. And then like the umbrellas, I was like, yo, I can't.
yeah. The thing that I learned from the
Again,
masks.
it sounds not to interrupt you, but again, like not shitting on the people, but like you have to sometimes look back. Just take a step back and just look at the situation for
Oh, yeah.
itself. Something is off.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The thing that I learned the most, though, from the whole mask thing.
That's their fault.
What was that?
And I don't blame them. I'm not blaming the people
no,
that
no,
have been.
no.
I mean, MK Ultra didn't.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you're bombarded with something enough, you're just gonna end up following along. Most people, or a lot of people. But I was gonna say the one thing that I learned from the masks is that number one, I need to brush my teeth more because my breath stinks, and then the other thing is that a lot of people have very pretty eyes, but their teeth are fucked up. Because as soon as they took the mask off, I was like, "Oh, okay then, all right."
Yeah, that's funny. I've actually there was a few people that oh yeah, well, I guess it wasn't for the best.
Yeah,
There's a few people that I guess I had to came into my life, I guess during COVID, that in situations where they always had a mask on.
Yeah.
Once it came off, I was like, "Yo, who the fuck are you?"
yeah, exactly. It was so weird.
I was like, "Yo, you might have been better off putting that motherfucker back on."
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, you're like, all right then. It's like it's like that mask mandate's still going for ugly people.
There was a chick at the gym that I had went to. I had never seen her before because I switched gyms or something. And I was like, damn, just checking her out.
Uh-huh.
And it was a quick thing, whatever. But like, I would still run into her sometimes. And I had always wondered, I'd be like, yeah, I wonder what the fuck she looks like with a mask on. The fact that she was still wearing one kind of like already took away the woo-woo about the girl.
Yeah.
Because I was like, Jesus Christ, like I don't care how hot you are if you're wearing a fucking mask, you're retarded.
Yeah.
But
just
eventually
the mask stays on during sex.
I came in and she had it off, and I was like, oh
shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd never do another double take at you again.
Yeah. So there's a term for that. I think it's called butterface.
Like, you want to put that shit back on so the guys have something to look at?
Yeah. That's funny. All right. Hey, listen, let's go ahead and wrap this up. It's been a while, so let's wrap this up. But I know you got socials, so I want you to go ahead and get that out there.
Thank you. I do have a link tree, the link that I guess I could send you in case anybody checks the notes.
Oh yeah, probably not, but you can still send it.
Yeah, right. I really don't think too many people check mine either.
No, yeah.
I do have, I am on Twitter, the Occult Rejects, the NY Patriot on Instagram. And then I do have the NY Patriot show that is on all major podcasts, BitChute and Rumble, The Spiritual Gangsters, that I do co-host with Teresa. That is on YouTube, Rumble, and all major podcasts. And then I have the Occult Rejects, which is also on BitChute, Rumble, all major podcasts, and on YouTube. I mean, the NY Patriot show and the Occult Rejects are both on the same YouTube channel, the Occult Rejects. But yeah, I have all that. All major podcasts, BitChute, Rumble, and YouTube. Basically, you'll find everything.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll go ahead and put it in the description, the show notes, even though I don't think anybody listens. What?
I got a nice little neat link tree that puts all that in one link. So
cool. Yeah, I'll put that in there. I don't think anybody reads them because half the time, I don't know. I think I should probably just put random shit in there just to see if anybody's reading it. But whatever. Real quick, everybody, whoever's listening, this is the Hoof Hearted Podcast, and you can reach us on Instagram at Hoof Hearted Podcast, and you can also reach me. I'm Doc Farted on Instagram, and that is also my Twitter. So not my Twitter, TikTok. I did TikTok. Do you do TikTok?
Oh, you're on TikTok?
Yeah, I got onto TikTok because I was like, man, I can't.
Too much, but I'll check it out.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's so hard to find. I think it's ironic that the amount of information that China is getting from our TikTok stuff actually happens to be the best place to get like conspiracy videos. So I'm like, whatever, but
They'll know the best ones to sell to people now.
what was that?
They'll know the best ones to sell to people now.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I mean, if you really think about that, like if you do have an app like that and you're actually like kind of watching it, and if you see like complete bullshit taking a trend, you could actually sell.
Oh yeah, and that's what I figured they were doing. So I'm like, I don't believe. I've never believed every single thing that I see, but I just want to be able to think for myself. So that's what I do. But anyways, so yes, TikTok, Doc Farted on TikTok, Instagram, Doc Farted, Hoof Hearted Podcast on Instagram. Also, we have a phone number, so if you want to leave a message, give us a call. It is 661-379-0020. You could give us a call, leave a message, or you could text us with that. And yeah, that's it. So I want to thank you, NY. I want to thank you very much.
Thank you, dude. I mean, yeah, you've been talking to me for how long,
Yeah, since I heard you on that one podcast that will go nameless.
Oh yeah, all right. Yeah, I mean, you've been listening to me for a long time. I think that you even had hit me up telling me you were thinking about starting a podcast and all that.
Yeah,
stuff, so.
yeah. I told you. I'd
have to be a complete asshole to tell you that. Come on your show,
dude.
I mean, come on.
If you didn't, I understand you're a busy dude. So I mean, you've got so many podcasts, so it's all good, man. I'm really grateful. So
I like doing guest appearances because all I have to do is just jump on the mic. There's no research.
Yeah.
So.
Oh God. Yeah, I know, right? That's okay. But,
That's like, and then after this, I don't have to make anything. I don't have to do the audio. I don't have to do the video. I don't have to edit it.
True.
I just walk away and the episode's done, and you're putting it out.
You want to know? You want to know what? Honestly, same thing with me. I mean, I don't do any editing. I don't. I just throw it out there. No, I do edit a little bit, but I don't do any research either. So that's yeah. But that's why I appreciate your show. You put the work in. I'm just a thought guy, But you actually put the work in. So.
Appreciate that, sir.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and please, if you're listening to this podcast, please go check out NY's podcast because they are in depth. So, those podcasts were pretty good. So, and they helped me get through a boring fucking job. So, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
so definitely get you out of your head and somewhere else, I'm sure.
Oh man, yeah. Sometimes I forget what room I'm in.
I'm assuming it probably is good for work if you can pay attention and think about what we're saying. I'm sure it's probably great for work because one, they're long.
Yes.
And two, I'll probably get you daydreaming about something else.
Oh yeah, definitely. And sometimes, yes. Usually, I have to like pause the podcast and then I have to be like, okay, did I do what I was supposed to do just now, or did I just zoom through this room? Like I have no idea. So I'm like, okay. I gotta recheck. So, but anyways, yeah, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate you you coming on, man. It was great. That
was a great time.
Yeah, thank you, man. Anyways, so yeah, this is Who Farted. Check out NY. Check out his podcast. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Later.